I guess there was a switch because I felt like I was always the victim. I was always getting victimized. That's how I felt. Always somebody taking something, whether it's my body or whatever, from me. And then when I got in a fight with my ex-husband, who was out there at a restaurant.
That restaurant.
Yeah, and we tore that restaurant up. That was a switch for me that I'm not taking this no more. Now we gonna fight. You try and take. So I think that was my switch of starting to love me.
Hey everyone, let's start healing. I'm Adrienne Murchison, and welcome to episode 107 of the Let's Start Healing podcast. We have more in common than we think, and what we have in common can change the world. I believe that will play out in our episode today. I have a powerful conversation with a wonderful guest, Teresa Edwards. Teresa wears many hats. She is a playwright, a theater producer, a podcaster, and she works for a major media entertainment company. She opens up about her relationship with God, value in the workplace, which is something that's been on my heart a lot lately. And she shares her experience with sexual abuse as a child. And I am so grateful for her for being open and vulnerable and talking about her journey around healing. We all know someone who's been sexually abused. It happens far more than we think it does. And I was grateful to have a conversation with Teresa about it. And she was in the military, and we talked about that a little bit. And so I have a past episode with a guest that I'm going to put in the show notes around sexual abuse in the military that I think is very powerful. I want to share some statistics I have to look at my phone, from the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. You may know these numbers already, but just to plant this, and let me just say, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 4 boys will be sexually abused before they turn 18 years old. 34% of people who sexually abuse a child are family members. 12.3% of women were aged 10 or younger at the time of their first rape victimization, and 30% of women were between the ages of 11 and 17. 27.8% of men were aged 10 or younger at the time of their first rape victimization. More than 1/3 of women who report being raped before the age 18 also experience rape as an adult. 96% of people who sexually abuse children are male. 76.8% of people who sexually abuse children are adults. Let me repeat that part. 70.8% of people who sexually abuse children are adults. 325,000 children are at risk of becoming victims of commercial child exploitation each year. Wow. The average age at which girls first become victims of prostitution is 12 to 14 years old. And the age for boys is 11 to 13 years old. And during our conversation, I brought up an episode of Oprah that I saw back in the 90s, and Iyanla Vanzant was on, and she was talking about sexual abuse, and it was so powerful for me. And she said something that really got me and helped me, because I have experienced sexual abuse in my past. And she brought up how so many victims have shame. And so from what I remember her saying, at least I know this was true for me, that can stand in the way of healing. because we think that it's our fault if we have shame, or we can think that if there's shame around the event that happened. And so that was big for me. I don't want to expound on it. She shared more about that, and I'm not ready to talk about more of that as far as my experience is concerned or what she shared. But it's big. These things can happen during childhood, and then that impacts you for the rest of your life. It certainly played a role in my life as far as self-esteem and self-love. And it's been a constant journey for me in terms of having self-love. So that is a little bit of what we chatted about, but we chatted about many other things. And it was just a really, really fruitful conversation. I'm so grateful for Teresa for stopping by and sitting down and talking with me. And she will share in our conversation how to get in touch with her. Let's get started. Wait. Let me back up a second. Let me invite you to subscribe to the podcast. Whatever platform you're listening on, please subscribe. And please also share Let's Start Healing with at least one person that you believe the podcast would resonate with. So now let's get started. Let's meet Teresa and let's start healing. Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you.
First of all, congratulations. You just produced and directed a play.
Yes.
And
it was amazing.
Yes. Tell me about that a little bit.
So the name of the play was Struggles of a Father's Love, and it was inspired by my husband's interaction with the mother of his child, his son, and his strained relationship with his own father. Because, a lot of times people kind of dump on, men, and particularly the African-American men, as far as being deadbeat fathers. But that's not always the case.
Not at all.
There are fathers that are out there trying, but the mothers are the problem. And people don't share that story.
Right.
So it was important to him just to share that story of everything he went through, him even trying, to connect with his son, giving her money. She went back to the court system because he gave her cash. He couldn't prove it. So he got hit by back child support.
I know. I had a boyfriend years ago had that exact issue.
She took the child out of state, following behind a guy. I mean, it was just one thing after another. She put him through a lot. And then...
This is a big topic, by the way, especially if it's divorce, just fathers not having access to their kids. Yeah.
And they were never married, so that made it even harder.
Yeah.
Because they were not married. So, yeah. Like I said, it was inspired by his story.
You two wrote this together?
Yeah. I took his story and I put it into, with him, I guess more of a consultant, and made it come to life. So
that is awesome.
And Saturday was his first time actually, because he was part of there for the rehearsals, but he couldn't be there all the time because of, his work schedule.
Yeah.
So Saturday was his first time actually seeing the entire play.
Really?
And then at the very end, because I gave him the mic because I wanted him to, share a couple of things, he got choked up to the point it was like, it was so hard for him to get his expressions out, but it really touched him to see that story unfold. And I guess it brought back memories too.
Right.
Of everything that mother took him through. And I actually added in his relationship with his own father because his father wasn't there in his life.
Yeah.
And he didn't get to know his father until really a couple of years ago. Well, 2014, he met his father for the first time since a child because he barely remembered because his mother told him that somebody else was his father.
Mm-hmm.
So he met his father the day before we got married.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did he come to your wedding?
Yeah, we got married in Las Vegas. We went in theme.
What theme? What was the theme?
Girl. I was the moneymaker and he was my pimp. So he had the fish on the high platform shoes with a fish in there.
The moneymaker.
I had on this short dress and my boots. He had on the hat And
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we went in theme.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, my father-in-law walking me down the aisle with me pulling out my dress. Because like, wait a minute, this was a little too short.
Well, where was your play staged again?
It was at the Lawrenceville Arts Center, amazing
Right.
theater. They have several theaters, so we got one of the main stages, and it was really beautiful. The set designer, she did an amazing job. T-Scapes LLC, we give her a shout out. But yeah.
Wow. And was it one night only or?
Yeah, it was one night only. We wanted to do 2 shows,
Yeah.
but then we're kind of new in that
Yeah.
arena. People, but we still had a great crowd.
Did you fund this yourself? Did you
Yeah.
get sponsors? This is something I want to do. That's why I'm asking you questions, because I'm fascinated and love it. And
Majority of it
Yeah.
I funded myself, but I did get some sponsors that people, friends wanted to help out.
beautiful.
So I'm very appreciative to that. And a couple
Yeah.
of organizations that wanted to help.
That had to be such a great feeling. Did you cry when it was over?
Now I leave that to him.
But I mean,
Girl, I
you
was
did that.
tired. I was exhausted.
You did that though. You put that on.
Because it was me behind, making all the moves and, directing and producing. And by the time it was all over, I was exhausted.
How many actors did you have?
Jesus, 8 total. Because one of the actors, the young man that played Tony, so it was Tony, which was the main character. The son was Tony Jr.
Yeah.
And then Tony had his father, so because I'm showing those patterns. And then Tony, the young man that played Tony Jr., he got sick about halfway in there, so I had to replace him because we had to keep going. But he got out about the same week of the play, and what I did was I just wrote in a part for him, so he can still have that stage presence. He can still have that stage time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I added in a part just so he can have that stage time. So
Wow.
he ended up playing the friend of Tony Jr. So he's showing those patterns of we need to be careful of how we talk to our kids, raise our kids or whatever, because generations, it keeps going. Because I show where Tony's father wasn't there, but he had his own story.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because his mother kind of denied him access, just like Tony was denied access. And then all you going on is that what that mother is saying, but there's always another side.
Right.
So, not saying that all mothers are bad.
Yeah.
Not saying all fathers are bad, but it took 2 to make it.
Exactly.
So before you making a judgment, get both sides.
Exactly. Well, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I like to start out asking, how are you feeling in your skin today? How are you doing today, this morning? This is a morning recording.
I'm here. I'm off, but I'm here. I still got stuff to do. One thing I have to change, because I was teasing with a friend of mine. I say, I get on my nerves.
You do?
I get on my own
How?
nerves. Because I'm always constantly going and going and going. And then when I finally stop, I'm like out. I'm passed out. And I need to start making time for me. Just to chill and relax.
Yes.
I'm always going. After this, I got another meeting.
Right.
I got something tomorrow, and then Friday,
Yeah.
and then Saturday, and then we got church Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I go back to work.
And I think that's our life experience. We cram things into a 24-hour period that we might have done 20 years ago over the course of 3 days. Mm-hmm. We're cramming what we would do in 48 or 72 hours into 24.
Girl, I felt it after that play. I really need to slow down because everybody looking at me, what's next? What's next?
Right.
Well, I know what's next, but now, honestly, I want to do next is I'm calling it Struggle Over Father's Love, the Aftermath. And that's a panel discussion with some fathers that have been through those things, and then with a couple of representatives from some advocacy groups that can educate. Because I think that's what we're missing, is that that education on what are their rights, what can they do, who's out there that's actually in their corner to help them.
Right.
And that's what I want.
That's great. So you are on a mission.
Yes.
You and your husband.
Yes.
Now, how do you juggle all of this with work?
Girl, I don't know.
You work in media. How do you juggle all of that?
Honestly, I don't sleep. I nap. And that's what
Really?
I said.
Yeah, you don't get your rest
I don't
even
get
when you
rest.
go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. So that's
Yeah.
why I say I gotta figure out how to slow things down
Mm-hmm.
before I get slowed down.
We came together because I want to talk in part about age in the workplace. And I was talking to someone else about how I don't really know many women who have a quote unquote 9-to-5 job and don't have another
9 to 5
thing
job.
going on, don't have another gig, another passion, something that means so much to them. They're an entrepreneur creating something else in their free time. And that's what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, it took a minute to get here because I'm retired military and I had my daughter when I was young. And so it's always been about making sure she's good. And always been about doing what I need to do to make sure that she has a roof over her head, clothes on her back, food and on the table. But it took, when I got laid off, what was that, 2016, before it hit me that there's more to life than just working somebody else's job. Because that job was so extremely toxic. I was having health problems because of the amount of stress. And that was the only job I've ever cried on the job. That's how bad that environment was. And even though I got laid off, it was actually a blessing in disguise. Of course, you can go through, the different stages. Like, I got to get checked, But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to ever go through that again. I took that job chasing that dollar so I can get more money, so I can make sure she's good. But it took that environment to make me realize it's more than just money. What about your happiness?
Right.
And it took that craziness.
Right. Because we spend so much of our life at that job. And so you do want to have a quality life. And if it's a toxic workplace, it's wearing on us.
It was very toxic and very wearing. And after that, I had to sit down and what do you want to do for the next half of your life? And I was like, I know I don't want to go back to there. And I had lost me. I didn't know what I like. What do I like? I don't know. Because I've always been working. It didn't matter. As long as you're paying me.
Yeah.
Because I have my my motto and my quote, I will not be aggravated for free. Now you paying me, I'll take all the aggravation.
I like that.
But if it's free, no. So it's like I had to figure out what I used to like. So during that time, I went back to People's TV. They had offered nonprofit, but they offer production type classes.
Was it called People's TV?
It's called People's TV. But yeah, they have the production classes, and so it's like when I was in high school, I used to enjoy that, So it's like, let me see if I still like it, and then yes, I still love it.
That's awesome. So what did they teach you?
We did the whole just TV production, with force cameras, editing, and just a little touching of lighting, the whole shebang.
Right, and that helped you to get into what you're into now in terms of media, or with your 9-to-5, quote unquote 9-to-5, or with what you're doing in terms, because you have other things in addition to plays. You have a radio show, and you do other things.
So not necessarily the 9-to-5. That was just I guess networking. But for as the creating the production company, yes, and then my husband being an audio engineer, and our passion for music, because that's how we met, really, as far as that passion. And let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? You only got one life.
Right.
So what are we gonna do with this? And it should not be just working, even though you got to work because you got to pay bills. But that should not be it. Right. And no shade to anybody that's what they want to do, but that wasn't what I wanted to do moving forward. I wanted to do something that was going to make me happy. Right. And that's when we started the production company and branched out into doing other stuff.
Yeah. Well, so at your job at your 9-to-5 job, how is it for you as a woman aging in the workplace? Do you feel like you can, and you're a young woman, when I'm looking,
tell that to my knees and my back, because they said something different.
but do you feel like you can celebrate your age
no.
in the workplace?
Oh, no. I will forever keep changing my hair. Well, I'm going to keep the blue. But
Yeah.
you would never see the gray.
Yeah.
Because it always, I don't know, it just seems like it appears, it might not be, but it has an appearance that the grayer you are, the more expendable you are. You know, they definitely target the folks that's been around or look like you've been around for a minute.
Really? How do they do that?
They call it layoff, but but it's, you know, it's people and it's always that running joke when you start getting close to, like, if you've been on that job for 18 years, it's that running joke that you're a target. Because first of all, they want you to make it to 20, because now they got to pay you your retirement.
Right.
So you just like treading water just to make sure you try to get there. But the more longer you've been there, I guess, you know, the more money you should be making, I guess. So that's make you even double target. You're older or more gray, and then you're making more money when they can get these little young ones to come in and just pay them a fraction of what they're paying you.
Do you feel any ageism as far as being a woman is concerned?
It's hard to say being African American. You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
it can be one or two or both.
Yeah.
But because I don't know why people want to know your age. It's like my age shouldn't matter.
Yeah. I'm surprised somebody would ask you that.
They go in a roundabout. They try and figure it out. You know, there's ways to try and figure out how old you are.
Yeah.
Without just coming right out and asking.
Yeah. So on the day-to-day, do you ever feel through the way that the company operates, do you feel valued or less valued than somebody who's younger, strictly based on age?
I think it just depends on certain situations, because it's hard to say when you're a woman, especially when you're in a male-dominated field. Yeah. Because just being a female, you know, you get like anybody listening to you, and it's like, hey, is this on? I know I just said this.
Right.
You can say something, and somebody of my counterpart, male, will say the same thing, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like, that's happened multiple times.
Right.
And he's like, I know I said that. I heard myself say that.
Right. I ain't crazy.
About weight?
About weight.
So, you know, sometimes it's hard to pinpoint. But yeah, they look at the little young ones. It's like, you know, even though I don't know. It's crazy in this world.
Yeah.
It's definitely crazy in this world. But it's hard to say or pinpoint this particular was about ageism, because it could be a little bit of both. And three: female, age, and being a minority. Right. So you really you got 3 strikes there. Yeah. And it could be a little bit of all of that, you know?
Were you there at your current job in 2020 when George Floyd died?
I was.
Was the climate sensitive?
Yes. Of course, we were a different company at that time.
It had been acquired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that time. Yeah. And then we got acquired again. But the atmosphere, that leadership team was amazing. And so happened we had a female leader that was very wanted to make sure that everybody was good. Yeah. It was very inclusive. Yeah. Now, we all looking, we sitting here waiting to see if this is this a movement or this is a moment. Now, it has revealed that it was a moment. Yeah. Because things are going back to the way it was. But again, we got acquired again. So I don't know if it's right. Just all those little different things that got added into that. But it is definitely a shift to going backwards as far as that inclusiveness. Right. That's how, at least that's how it feels. Right.
And what does inclusiveness look like to you?
Like just programming. You'll see representation of everybody, not just of a particular race. Mm-hmm. You know, when you see leadership, you see a representation of quite a few other than just all white male.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And we're in Atlanta. So there's no way in the world you can tell me you can't have a minority, especially even African American.
Right. Right.
There's no way you can tell me there's nobody qualified.
I was doing some freelancing. It must have been like 2019, 2018. And I was at the Federal Reserve for a day. And they were doing some interviews where they were interviewing middle management for mentors to see how to match them with a mentor. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know what I was doing. I had to sit and observe and maybe write stuff down. I can't remember what I had to do. But there were so many people of color, and I had never been in the Federal Reserve building before or anything like that. And there were so many people of color, these middle managers who were coming to sit down and talk. I thought I was impressed, you know.
You see that other
So I had made a comment to somebody, and they said, yeah, in middle management, you see it, but you don't see it. And the senior leader, I think the most senior person was Black, but after that, in senior leadership, there weren't any that I recall. And so they were pointing that out. So I think what fascinated me was what my eyes were telling me wasn't the reality.
No, it was reality for that. But if you want to see even higher, it was still reality because you didn't see that. You didn't see that. It is unfortunate. It's like that in a lot of companies.
Yeah.
And then having that female. So you're going to have that ceiling. And then trying to get over that hump. Minority, Black female, you don't see a lot. And then even if the company I am in, like I said, appearances, that might not be what facts are because I'm not in that where I can see the actual numbers. But the appearance is that there's a lot of the females that's been there for a while are gone.
Oh, really?
They're gone.
A lot of women who
of color are gone.
Oh, through layoffs. Okay. Wow.
Yes, a lot of our female, especially when you already are a minority.
Yeah.
And a minority.
Right.
You know, in a minority situation.
Yeah.
And then that's it made it even smaller.
Yeah.
Where you see hardly any female or of color. So it was an interesting look.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what I mean by inclusive. You know, I saw that when we was different, even though maybe it could be a checkbox, you know, we got one.
Right.
But you at least see a little bit more sprinkle than you do now.
Right. Right.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. And so you having the other projects that you're involved in, does that give you a sense of balance?
It does. As far as me, yes, it gives me a balance because that's what I really want to do.
Yeah.
So it definitely, all this nonsense over here, even though it is nothing compared to the job I came from.
Yeah.
Nothing compared, because it's like, I'm looking at it's like, okay, this ain't nothing. it can get annoying, but compared, this is nothing.
Right, right.
But I get that sense of balance of, I don't even know if balance. It's just something that I can give back to.
Right.
And just even like being an author, it's like I wrote my books during COVID because it's one thing that COVID, even though COVID is horrific, you know, and everything that goes along with that, the one sprinkle of good thing that came out of that is I think it made people realize what's really important, whether it's family, friends, or whatever. And mine was legacy. What can I leave to my granddaughter? You know, so I wrote 2 books where she is the main character.
Children's books.
Two children. Oh, I did 1 memoir and 2 children's books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she is the kid. The book is based off of her. So her
That's beautiful.
And my grandkids.
Are they published?
Yes.
And what's the title? And can they be purchased through Amazon?
Amazon.
What are the titles?
The Adventures of Hildy and Carlos. So my granddaughter's name is Hildegard, but we call her Hildy.
I love that.
And Carlos was my grandcat.
Wow. And Hildy is immediately, first of all, I'm in journalism. I'm an old movie buff.
Okay.
And there's a character in His Girl Friday. Her name is Hildy. And that's immediately where I'm going to in my mind. So I love that name. Is that a family name?
No, my daughter wanted a strong name.
Beautiful.
Yeah, she wanted a strong name.
And your memoir, is that published?
Yes.
What's the title?
Articles of Life.
Articles of Life.
Short essays of managing life. There's short articles of taking snapshots of my life of different stages. All of them are things that has happened. The first set are extremely difficult. They were hard because I'm talking about abuse that happened to me. And then we kind of move on to stuff that was just funny, just situational stuff that's just like, it's crazy.
Wow. And you're talking about physical abuse or emotional abuse or both?
All three, sexual, physical, and emotional.
Wow. During childhood?
Mm-hmm. Well, that started in childhood and into adulthood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you stay connected to your authenticity and to God? Like, how do you stay connected throughout everything that you have going on in life and through trauma?
Me and God have our own relationship. I talk to him just like I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
We friends. We cool. And I know throughout things that has happened to me that it was his grace that I'm still here, because I should not even be here, So I know that it was because of his grace of protecting me, from certain things, that I am actually still here.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
When do you most feel God's presence?
When I wake up, really. I know each day is a blessing. Each day that I'm here, and then I got semi-right mind, but my husband say differently. It's just a blessing to me. Every day that I wake up, that I'm here, it's a blessing, because I know I shouldn't be here.
Wow.
Can
you share more about that?
It's just this. I'm a survivor of child rape, and the state of spiraling that took me to, that I was an easy mark. And I was going down that path. For whatever reason, it stopped for me not being taken and being prostituted out, For whatever reason. Mm-hmm. Well, I know what reason it was God intervention.
Yeah.
To stop that. But I was on that path because I was spiraling out of control. Because I couldn't handle the actual rape.
Were you separated, disassociating from it? Or
Definitely.
Were you acting out, or were you living recklessly?
All the above. Mm-hmm. I guess I went through stages where a stage where I didn't talk. I didn't talk to anybody, period.
Like, as in you didn't speak?
I didn't speak.
Wow.
Speak when I needed to, but it was very quiet. And then I guess it was me in my own mind trying to, because my mom didn't take me to, a counselor to try and, I guess, figure out that part where it wasn't my fault, because we never spoke about it again. After I finally told her, we went to the hospital, did all the stuff, we never spoke about it again.
And did you tell her about it years later or shortly after it happened?
Shortly after it happened, probably about the next day.
Mm-hmm. How old were you?
Young. 5th grade, 6th grade.
Yeah.
So still trying to process that.
Yeah.
So it took a lot to try and process that. And then I guess it twisted me for maybe that's the way life is supposed to be. That's the way the men's supposed to treat women. Mm-hmm. It took a long time for me, self-therapy, to try and get more on the right track. So yeah, just being promiscuous, just doing all kind of stuff. I remember barely a teenager, 13. Me and my friend went with some guys. I don't know who those guys were. I know they were men because they came and picked us up. So they was grown, very grown. But yet they still, I wouldn't say they made us have sex, because it was just like, My thought was that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
At that time, I thought that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I think that everything that you're describing about your mindset is so normal after and understandable after that kind of trauma that you went through. Mm-hmm. Did a therapist ever say that to you?
I never went to a therapist until recently started going, because just this stuff starting to manifest, and my husband like, you need to go sit on somebody's couch. And then just family dynamics, because I think my grandma was a little crazy, even though I loved her, but grandma was alcoholic and she loved to fight. She don't care who.
Yeah,
including me. She came after me with a knife. She gonna try to fight me, and that was just normal.
Yeah.
So I'm living in a house of trauma that's just normalized, very normal.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any different. So and then on to that, going into the military, and then it being an only female and an all male company, that added on even more crap.
Wow. Did you experience any abuse in the military?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been situations where you either, you had to do what you had to do to get out of that situation.
I asked you that because I have a friend who has been a guest, and she went in depth about, her experiences, and it just is amazing to me. I mean, of course, I appreciate your service and every military person's service, but that abuse is just not discussed.
It's not. Somebody told me that should be my next book, Articles of Military Life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say that I'm in therapy now. Mm-hmm. This helped me try and deal with some of that trauma that's been there forever, because it's been since almost like day one, because all that trauma to me was normal.
Right.
And then trying to tell me that was trauma, it's like, but that's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had some abuse in childhood, and a lifelong thing for me has been self-love. I've made leaps and bounds around self-love. I wouldn't say that I'm at Z. And that idea of, oh, this was my fault. I mean, I don't want to sound cliche, but one day in the 90s, I was watching Oprah, and Oprah and Iyanla were talking about abuse. And I was like, oh, it wasn't my fault. Like, they really described what I was feeling. But still, that self-love part has been a lifelong journey.
It took a long time for me to even say that I love me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or lovable for me.
Right. Or just feel that I got to start putting me first, Yeah. Because I guess there was a switch, because I felt like I was always the victim. I was always getting victimized. That's how I felt. Always somebody taking something, whether it's my body or whatever, from me. And then when I got in a fight with my ex-husband, who was out there in that restaurant.
That restaurant.
Yeah, and we tore that restaurant up. That was a switch for me, that I'm not taking this no more.
Wow.
You're not taking from me anymore. Now we're going to fight. You try and take, we're going to fight. So I think that was my switch.
Yeah.
Of loving me, starting to love me. Before, I don't think I loved me.
How many years ago was that?
That's been a minute. 92-ish, 3.
Mm-hmm.
When the light bulb came on that I need to start loving me. I got a young girl that's coming up. I'm raising a child. So what is she going to see?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is she going to see?
And you may have touched on this already. Is there a time in your life where you experienced a miracle that you can share that you had nothing to do with, but you said, this is all God?
Girl, I don't have to think. I think it's just some abusive situation that I didn't die.
That you didn't die.
Yeah, because my daughter's father, he loved to choke me. I mean, till I passed out. So I didn't die. And then, like I said, he was the one that we got into a physical fight outside of the house. Because when we was inside the house, I'm more, I guess, not fighting back, but just trying to protect myself.
Yeah.
But when we got outside, I guess it was a different story. It's like, doggone it now. Now, wait a minute. And it's like, and that's when I started fighting back. So just a lot of stuff, I guess, that I think that's mostly it. That's why I say every day that I wake up, to me, it's a blessing. I embrace that I ain't supposed to be here, or a possibility that I was not going to be here. My mom, she passed when I was, 19? So I always had the thing of that fear that I was going to pass before my daughter is of age.
Has that disappeared? Has that gone away, that fear?
I guess yes, because she's old now. She's older. But it's always that.
You thought you were going to be killed.
Something. I wasn't going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Wow. What do you think that God would have you do for you and others through your life and your work?
I would say continue telling my story, because like you said, there's so many of us that are so quiet. We don't really express that, but just letting you know that you're not by yourself. I've been through that too.
Yeah.
You can't survive.
Yeah.
You are supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But that's not cool. That's not supposed to happen to you.
That's the big thing, I think, too, is it's not supposed to happen to you. And it happens so much that I think we think it's normal, and it's not normal. It's not okay. As we're sitting here, I was remembering, I think a lot of us have this thing about wanting to feel safe. I mean, everything that you're talking about is wanting to feel safe. And I must have been around 7 years old, and my father let me and my brothers, who are older, go to this public fountain, which was like you would swim in the water around the fountain. And he was always saying, watch out for your sister, watch out for your sister. And I didn't feel like they watched out for me. Mm-hmm. And we got there and they went off somewhere. And this boy, like I said, I must have been just knowing where I was living. I was 6 or 7 years old. Mm-hmm. He came up to me and he just started grinding on me super fast. Mm-hmm. It was almost like I didn't know what was happening. It was so fast. And then he just went away. And I was just kind of trying to get my bearings, like, what just happened, And then he came back and did it again. Mm-hmm. And same thing. What just happened? And then my brothers came back from whatever they were doing. And I never told anybody. I went home and I never mentioned it. And, I told my mother about different things, later in life. But that wasn't anything that even came to my mind, although it's nothing I ever forgot. But it's like, that's not all right.
That's not okay. It's almost, like I said, it seems like there's a mark on your forehead. It's like, why is this stuff coming to me?
Yeah. Right.
So, and trying to process that.
Yeah. And the why is a fruitless effort.
It is.
Yeah. Like I had this therapist once, and not on this topic, but she used to just talk about how guilt was like a worthless word, a useless word, and a useless emotion. And I think that why? Because I do that. Because that'll take me to, the why is because I'm not lovable. I wasn't lovable. And that's not true. That's a lie. Mm-hmm. So the why is not, it doesn't matter why. It shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened. And you would never know why. Or what's in somebody else's head.
Yeah. It shouldn't happen.
You just know it shouldn't happen.
Right.
I don't think it's useless, but I think is, to a certain degree, you can't get consumed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think we all have the right to ask why.
Right.
Now, you're not going to get the answer you might, but you still have that right.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I'm saying that I want to apologize. I didn't want to project that onto you or anything. No. But yeah, it's a question that I have asked over and over. Why? I
think it's valid.
And there's no satisfactory answer for me. Yeah.
Just as long as you know that you're not going to get the answer. But I do believe that you have the right, because somebody violated you.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't control other people. And you just know that they're the sick one. And it's not you. It's not your fault.
Right.
So.
Right. Do you see yourself when it comes to other people or as yourself, for yourself? Do you see yourself spiritually as a healer or a seeker or both?
Say that again now.
Do you see yourself as a healer? Because, you are a teacher in many ways.
I see myself as a counselor, I would say. I would say more of a coach. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to tell you my experience and I'm going to ask those questions. But at the end of the day, I'm going to leave it to you to make your own decision on what direction you want to go in.
Yeah.
So I would think me is more of a coach. And then if maybe that healer, meaning letting you know that you're not alone and you're going to be okay. You will get through this.
Yeah.
As long as you keep moving forward, don't let it consume you.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. And had to fight through that.
Yeah.
So if you just keep moving forward, you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that we talk about cliches. Time does heal when you put in the work. I put that in my book.
That is so true.
Time does heal.
Yeah.
When you put in the work.
It does. With all that you've been through, have you ever had that, I know this is like real personal, have you ever had that come to Jesus kind of conversation with God, and where you actually felt a response and an exchange with God?
I don't know if it's come to Jesus, but yeah, like I said, we friends. And I was like, why? Blah, blah, blah. And we have our arguments back and forth. But it's like, what you gonna do? Like my grandma used to say, you gonna shit or get off the pot? What you gonna do? And that's like, well, I got to keep moving forward. It's like he reminds me, you're not just here for you. You're here for your daughter, even though she's grown. You got a granddaughter that's right behind. Mm-hmm. So you're here for that. You're here to make sure that they are okay. Mm-hmm. And I will always say that, when my mom passed, it was extremely hard because, I'm the only child. For my mom, I'm the only child. And my mom was everything. She was my world. Mm-hmm. And when she passed, I no longer wanted to be here. Another reason why I know I'm supposed to be here. Then I got pregnant. And I tell my daughters, she was my reason for living. She was my heir. I can do what I want to in my life, but I have no right to destroy hers. Mm-hmm. So that was that, I guess, come to Jesus moment, you want to say. That light bulb was like, get up. You cannot stay here. Yes, I call her home, but it was a reason. I ain't going to ever know the reason. I don't necessarily agree with it. I told him I don't agree with that now. So we're going to have to agree to disagree on that. Because I felt I still needed her. But yeah, I blessed you with a child that needs you more. Oh, okay. I'm telling you, we have conversations.
Yeah, yes. Do you have something, for lack of a better word, superpower that is inherent to you that serves others and yourself?
I had an old supervisor said I have an infectious personality. He used to bring me along as a beard because he's kind of not approachable, I guess you want to say.
Yeah.
He's kind of, no nonsense and all this, but people love to come and talk to me. So he bring me along as that blocker so they don't talk to him.
Oh, your distraction. You are a beard.
Yeah.
This is smoke and mirrors.
Yes. But people love to talk to me, and I was like, I don't know what I have. Like, strangers come, hey, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, hey. And we just have a whole conversation. And my husband just be looking like, really? Who is that? I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I would say that I'm easy to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I listen, which a lot of folks don't.
Yeah.
They talk, but they don't listen.
Yeah.
I'm that one that actually listens and then asks questions. I mean, you just nosy. That's my husband. Well, if you're talking, let's have a conversation. Let's get to the root of it.
Well, share about your radio show.
Oh, girl. Now, that's my other personality right there. It's the Power Hour with the Real Ass People Society, and I am the president.
And I am the president is in the title.
No.
You are the president.
I am Ms. Entertainment. I am the president. That's how I open it up. I am your president, Ms. Entertainment. Even in the intro, it start off with dun 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 dun, and I do it like a record scratch. Oh, hell no. And then it's like, more of a nice beat. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
Right. And so share what the content of it is.
We talk about, there's nothing off the table. And, anything, anybody can get that smoke.
It's you and your husband and a cousin?
Yes. Like I said, as I am the president. I have my cabinet, which is my husband. He's my chief entertainment officer. And then my cousin, he's the head of ambassadors. And I have, Ghetto Genie, which introduces the songs of the day. And we have invited guests, to come in. And we just really, we have a sports report. And then we just get into some trending topics. And then just whatever that's going on. We just talk about it, no holds barred. People, I encourage you just to be you. Express who you are. No judgment. Nothing's off the table. It's internet radio, so you can say it how you want to say
it. And it's live on Saturdays at noon?
At noon on TuneIn and Live 365.
Cool. And how can people reach you if they want to get in touch with you?
I'm on IG at Ms. Entertainment, MIZZ_entertainment_ATL.
Okay.
Or Teresa Edwards _author. Some two. And then our company is Terra Dome Entertainment.
Terra Dome.
Yeah, we take the fear out of dreaming and turn it into an amazing reality.
Beautiful. How do you spell Terra Dome?
The Terra, like TERROR. Yeah, like you're scared. Welcome to the Terra Dome,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
It's great to have you here.
Anytime.